There are moments that I look at him and I wonder who he is.
How's our boy, David?
I'm not giving up now.
Never.
Welcome to This Time with Daniel, and just Daniel again for today. I just got back from watching Beautiful Boy, which stars Steve Carell and Timothy Chalamet. Wow, this movie was really powerful and really heavy and emotional, and honestly, I'm just feeling super drained after watching it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. To give you some background, this movie stars Steve Carell as a father, David Sheff, who's also the author of the article that this movie is based on. And it's about him dealing with his son, who is addicted to drugs. And it's really, really harrowing to see what this family goes through, especially to see what Steve Carell as David Sheff goes through in this movie, and I guess the lengths that he goes to try and save his son. And there's not a lot of actors like Steve Carell who could transition so seamlessly between comedy and drama. I was talking with my dad about that, and other actors that come to mind are like Steve Martin, John Candy, Robin Williams. Like, they were able to do comedy and make us laugh, but also just pull our heartstrings and make us cry. And I think Steve Carell is at that point in his career now that he's just so good at what he's doing. I'm just so excited to see what he continues to do from this point on. Timothy Chalamet, who's I kind of seeing him as a new kind of Leo character, like a new Leonardo DiCaprio, I'll say, like a younger version. He's dealing with drugs in this movie, and you really see him struggle with being an addict, but also wanting to be part of his family and have his relationship with his dad, because him and his dad have such a strong bond with one another. You also have such amazing other actors in this movie, like Amy Ryan and person I'm blanking on their name. I'm going to put it right here. They all do great performances, and I will say I kind of really wanted to see more Amy Ryan in this movie. I wanted to see that Office reunion. But the parts that she wasn't in this movie, she actually plays Timothy Chalamet's birth mom in this film. So you really get their connection, and I just wish we saw more of that. That leads me to also talk about that this movie really doesn't have a plot or something that it's kind of building up towards. It's more kind of glimpses into the lives of David and Nick as they're dealing with the situation at hand, with David dealing with his son Nick being an addict and going through his steps of recovery, relapsing, and recovery. You really start to root for Nick, and you really don't want to see him mess up. And it got to a point in the movie where I turned over to my dad, who was actually watching this movie with, and I was like, man, like, I know we're only an hour into this movie, but things are going too well for Nick right now, and I just know that relapse is coming, and I didn't want to see that happen. The music in this movie is really well done too. It's a mix of some score, some classical, and some licensed music. There's actually a soundtrack out for this movie that's really, really good, so I definitely encourage you to check that out. But just the way this movie, the editing of this film, it really puts you in the mind of David, who is Steve Carell's character, and how he's seeing his son, his son is somebody who he's obviously seen throughout his whole stage of his life, and you just see him want to help him, and he always kind of sees him as that little boy, his beautiful boy, and you see that struggle, and I really, really love seeing that. But yeah, like I said at the beginning of this review, this movie's heavy, so it's not one that you necessarily have to run out and go see in theaters. If you're into this kind of movie, definitely go see it. But for my review for this, I would definitely say, this is a watch at home. Definitely stream it. But yeah, the performances in this movie are fantastic, and I know it's going to be one of those movies that we see going forward when it comes to Oscar season. I think Steve Carell and Timothy Chalamet, they're going to get their Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor nods. I think those are locked up for them at this point. And this is another win for Amazon Studios as well, so it's cool to see what they're going to be doing going forward, and thank you for releasing this movie in theaters still. But if you like what we're doing here, please comment, like, subscribe, do all that other YouTube stuff. That was This Time. We'll see you next.